先把今天经文读一遍。
Let's read the scriptures.
今天经文是在马太福音
In the book of Matthew,
26章36到42节，46节，42节。
chapter 26, verse 36
到46
to 46.
26、36、46，3个六。好，一起把经文读一遍，来，请。耶稣同门徒来到一个地方，名叫客西马，就对他们说：“你们坐在这里，等我到那边去祷告。”于是带着彼得和西比泰的2个儿子同去，就忧愁起来，极其难过，便对他们说：“我心里甚是忧伤，几乎要死。你们在这里等候，和我一同警醒。”他就稍往前走，俯伏在地，祷告说：“我父啊，倘若可行，求你叫这杯离开我。然而不要照我的意思，只要照你的意思。”来到门徒那里，见他们睡着了，就对彼得说：“怎么样？你们不能同我警醒片时吗？总要警醒祷告，免得入了迷惑。你们的心里固然愿意，肉体却软弱了。”第2次又去祷告说：“我父啊，这杯若不能离开我，必要我喝，就愿你的意志成全。”又来见他们睡着了，因为他们的眼睛困倦。耶稣又离开他们去了。第3次祷告，说的话还是与先前一样。于是来到门徒那里，对他们说：“现在你们仍然睡觉安歇吧，时候到了，人子被卖在罪人手里了。起来，我们走吧。看哪，卖我的人近了。”我们去做个祷告。
Let's pray.
天父，感谢你，
Heavenly Father, we thank you.
感谢你在2000年前就是这样走上十架路。
And we thank you that 2,000 years ago, and that's how you walk on the cross.
主啊，就求你今天感动我们的心，
God, please just move our heart
你也震动我们的灵，
and just shaken our spirit,
不要让我们成为一个忘恩负义的人。
so that we would not be the person just forget your grace.
面对你这么大的恩典，
When we face such a big grace,
我们怎敢忽略？
how can we neglect it?
主，求你带领以下的时间，
Please guide us the time.
祷告奉耶稣基督圣名，
We pray in Jesus Christ.
阿门。好，今天我们讲到的题目是复活前的3次祷告。
The sermon title today is the 3 prayers before the resurrection.
耶稣基督的复活是我们信仰的根基。
So Jesus' resurrection, that's the foundation of our belief.
保罗说，如果耶稣没有复活，
So Paul said, if Jesus Christ did not resurrect him,
那你我信的都是徒然。
then what we believe is in vain.
假如耶稣是一位道德先生，
If Jesus is just a high morality person,
他有非常美好的道德品行，
and he has a great behavior and is immorality,
但是最后却死了。
but at the end he died.
最关键，死了却不能复活。
And the key is, after he died, he cannot be resurrected.
那你我信的又有什么意义呢？
Then what's the meaning for us to believe?
我们所相信的耶稣基督与自古以来所有的偶像、所有的假神最大的不同，他从死里复活。
The biggest difference that the Jesus Christ we believe is different from other idols is because he's resurrected.
所以我们说，我们所相信的是真神，是上帝。
Therefore, we say, well, we believe he's the true God.
然后我们每一次讲耶稣基督复活的时候呢，
So every time we talk about Jesus Christ's resurrection,
都大多数会比较专注在他复活的大能上。
so mostly we focus on his almighty power.
我们极少有机会会专注在主耶稣基督的软弱上。
So very seldom we focus on his weakness.
我们甚至会对主耶稣的挣扎会忽略。
We may even neglect about his struggle.
我们通常会觉得耶稣基督是完全的神呢，
So usually we think Jesus Christ is a complete God.
却常常忽略了他来到世上的时候，他是一位完全的人呐。
And we admit that he's a complete person too.
所以了解耶稣基督神性的伟大，
So to understand the greatness of Jesus Christ's deity,
以及他作为人 所经历的软弱，
and the weakness he that has been experienced.
在信仰上对我们是同等重要的事情，
It's the same equal of the importance in our life.
两者是缺一不可的。
And both we cannot neglect one.
那耶稣复活前有很多次祷告，
Before Jesus Christ was resurrected, he has many prayers.
那我们今天仅仅集中在他其中的3次连续的祷告上。
And today we're going to focus on the 3 continuous prayer.
好，我们先来看第一点，
That's the first point.
他第一次祷告，他是要人来陪伴他的。
So his first prayer, and he requests for a companion.
那他这3次祷告在哪里呢？
So where's the location for his 3 prayers?
是在当时有个地方叫做克西马尼园。
It's at a place at Gethsemane.
克西马尼园在哪里呢？
So where's this place?
今年1月份我跟师母去了趟以色列。
This year in January, I went there with my wife.
当时我就跟带我们那个弟兄说，我们不要开车，
At the time, I told the brother who guided us, I said, let's not drive.
我们就从橄榄山沿着当年耶稣走的那条路，一步一步一步走，当年耶稣上十字架的路。
So I told the brothers that let's just walk from the mountain of the Olive and walk to the
真的心
Gethsemane.
里面不忍心错过耶稣所走的每一个脚。
I really don't want to miss any step that Jesus Christ ever walked.
那他去到克西马尼园之前，耶稣做了什么呢？
So before Jesus Christ went to the Gethsemane, what did he do?
3个福音书基本比较一致的记载什么样的事情呢？
So in the 3 books of the Gospel and recorded this.
第一，他设立了圣餐，刚才我们的圣餐是那个时候设
So first he established the communion,
然后呢，他责备了彼得，
and then he rebuked Peter
彼得在夸口嘛，
because Peter was bragging.
众人都跌倒了，我彼得总不会离开你。
Because Peter, he said, if everyone stumbled, I would never do so.
耶稣说，今天鸡叫以先，你要3次不认我。
And Jesus said, before the rooster just have the sound for 3 times, and you would not recognize me.
彼得觉得莫名其妙，我怎么会不认你呢？
And Peter thought, how could that be?
带着这样的疑惑，就来到了克西马尼。
So with this doubt, and he went to the Gethsemane.
那到了那里以后呢？
When they went there,
我在这个克西马尼园往那个耶路撒冷城门，就是金门朝东的门去看，大概500公尺不到1公里，好500公尺左右吧。
so at the Gethsemane, I just faced look at the east side of Jerusalem. It's not like less than 5 miles.
那里现在那个原址已经建成一个教堂，天主教的一个教堂。
So the location right now is like a Catholic church.
那里的地方是橄榄树，整个在一个园子里面。
So over there, it's a full of the olive garden.
那耶稣祷告是怎么一个方式呢？
So how did Jesus pray?
很特别。
Very special.
我们下山的时候呢，就看到有一块石头。
So when we get down the mountain, we saw a stone.
这2000多年来，多少朝圣的信徒，每一个人手都去摸那个石头。
So for the past 2,000 years, the believer went there. They want to touch the stone.
那块石头呢，已经被摸得光光滑滑的。
So the stone's kind of polished.
它在克西马尼园的后门的位置上。
It's at the back door of the Gethsemane.
这个石头什么意思呢？
So what does that stone
就
mean?
是门徒和主耶稣基督走到那个石头的位置上，
That is when the disciples and Jesus went by that stone.
他就往远处扔一块石头，
So Jesus just threw a stone from there.
让彼得、雅各、约翰，你们这个等我。
And he told Peter, James, and John said, you just wait me over there.
耶稣就去那里祷告。
And then Jesus went there to pray.
这是犹太人跟人保持个距离的方式，扔一块石头。
And that's how the Jews, they keep some kind of a distance from people. They just throw a stone.
我原来读圣经以前我就不懂，为什么要扔块石头这么个奇怪的方式？
Originally, when I read the Bible, I said, why did you so?
我去了以色列，去了耶路撒冷，才发现我明白了，
So this time I went to Israel, and then I realized,
以色列什么东西最多的？
you know, in Israel, what do they have the most?
石头最多。
Stone.
所以我带了一些石头回来。
So I brought some stone back.
我经过海关的时候，海关就问我拿我们以色列那么多石头干什么？
So when I passed by the custom in the airport, and they asked me, why you bring so many stones?
我就跟海关讲这个道理。
And I explained to the custom.
我说以色列如果别的东西不多的话，
And I said, if in Israel they don't have that many things,
有一样东西全世界人都来拿，都拿不完的。
and there's one item for the whole world to get it, and they just cannot get all.
他一听他就笑了，对，我们的石头是很多。
Then they smile. They say, it's true. We have a lot of
但
stones.
是我们也不允许每个人随便拿呀。
But we do not allow everyone to get it.
我说你想一想，我是一个牧师，
And I explained to them, just look at me. I'm
我
a
每天
pastor.
我回来以后，我就把石头摆在我的家里面，看见这石头，我就为以色列祷告。
So when I bring a stone back home, and every day I pray for Israel.
然后说，哎，牧师，那你就把石头拿回家。
And the cousin said, okay, pastor, you can bring the stone home.
我们回到经文当中，
Let's back to the scriptures.
要主就在这样的距离当中为他的圣殿祷告。
So within this kind of the distance, and Jesus Christ prayed for this the holy temple.
他在祷告什么呢？
So think about this. What was he praying
你
for?
想想，你把你自己放在此时此刻的主，他在想什么？
If you just put yourself as like on Jesus' position, think about this. What are you
什
praying?
么样的事情将要临到主呢？
What kind of thing will come upon to
他
Jesus?
除了是一个完全的人，他也是完全的神啊。
So he's not only a complete person, he's also a complete God.
所以他对将要发生的事情了如指掌，清清楚楚。
So he totally understands what is going to happen.
他马上就要被捕，要被打，被杀。
So quickly he will be captured and be beaten.
你想一想你的感受，
Think about it. How do you feel?
马上就有人来抓你，
Quickly, somebody will capture you.
警察就在门口，
The policeman is on the door.
在那敲门，有人在家吗？
Let's knock on the door. Anybody home?
抓的就是你，快出来吧！
You are the one we're going to capture.
可能会马上逃跑，对不对？
Maybe quickly you will just run away.
但是耶稣知道这不是他要逃跑的选择呀。
But Jesus knows that that's not a choice for him to escape.
走上十字架是天父差给他的一个使命。
It's a mission from Heavenly Father for him to walk on the cross.
他的孤独是没有人理解，
So his loneliness, nobody can understand.
他的脚步也没有人能够同行或者替代。
And no one can just walk with him or replace his steps.
我记得我女儿去大学的时候，
I remember when my daughter went to college.
我临走跟她讲一番话，
Before she left, I talked to her like this.
我说爸爸总得给你一些祝福吧。
And I said, as a father, I should give you some blessings.
当然说了很多其他的话，
Of course, I say a lot of things other than that.
其中有几句话我跟女儿讲，
There are several words I told her.
我说我愿你离开家的时候要享受经历孤独。
So I told my daughter that I hope when you leave this home, you will experience loneliness.
因为前18年有父母陪着你同行，
Because your first 18 years, you have your parents to walk with
今
you.
天离开家
Today, you leave the house.
就是你自己孤独的同行，与主同行的路。
And that's a path that you're going to walk with your Heavenly
与
Father.
主同行却不可避免要经历他的孤独。
So walking with the Heavenly Father, but you will still experience loneliness.
所以我的祷告不是求你身边有很多人陪着你，
So my prayer to you, daughter, is not for a lot of people just be your
是
companion.
求主让你经历你心中那深深的孤独。
But I pray to God for you to experience the loneliness in your heart.
我也求主让你经历被人厌弃和鄙视、看不起。
And also just pray to God that for you to experience that people dislike you or look down on you.
也让你深深的经历那一份卑微。
And also let you experience this humble position.
我记得回家的路上，师母问我怎么为女儿这么样祝福的。
So on our way back home, my wife asked me, how can you give this kind of
我
blessings?
说难道这不是一个最好的祝福？
So I told my wife, isn't that the best blessings?
为什么给一些虚假的祝福？
So why we want to give the fake
我们
blessings?
这一生谁不经历孤独？
In our life, anyone didn't experience loneliness.
我们通常做父母都是给儿女一些虚假的祝福。
So usually, parents just give the children some fake blessings.
儿女一孤独，哎呦受不了；
When the children, they feel lonely, and we just cannot stand
儿
it.
女一被人轻看，哎呦受不了。
If they were looked at by others, and we just cannot
拜
stand it.
托，我们的主的孤独，我们的主的被人轻看，为什么你和你的儿女不能经历呢？
Think about this. Even Jesus Christ has been looked down by people. Why you cannot experience this?
昨天晚上帮他过生日 party，
Last night we celebrate our children's birthday.
我说我虽然在你临出门的时候为你做了这样的祷告和祝福，
So I told him that even though before you left the house, I give you this kind of
但
blessings.
是离开家这8年多的时间，我觉得神给你丰厚的恩典。
But I told her, but for the past 8 years, I see God's grace is abundant on you.
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
Dear brothers and sisters,
你有没有想过你自己主动的愿意去经历这种孤独？
have you thought about this? Have you ever actively to experience this kind of loneliness?
我们回到圣经当中，看看我们的主是怎样。
Let's look at the Bible, how Jesus did.
首先，主面对孤独的方法很简单的，
So it's a very simple method for Jesus to experience loneliness.
不是找人来陪他的。
He didn't ask people to be his companion.
我盼望大家听懂这一句话。
I hope you understand this.
他的方法就是唯独在跟天父在一起。
Jesus' only way is to meet his heavenly Father.
我刚才给你花了这么多的笔墨，让你知道，主耶稣走到一块石头那里，扔个石头过去，让陪他的人离他一段距离。
So the example I just gave you, actually, I just trying to tell you that Jesus just threw a stone and just tell his disciple went over there and he just be there by himself.
如果一个相信耶稣基督的人，
If a person who believes in Jesus
他
Christ,
不能够靠着主闯过这个孤独的难关，
if he cannot just come by Jesus to pass the struggle,
你信仰可能仍然停留在吃奶的地步。
your belief may be just still at the stage you just have the milk.
孤独是上帝赐给信徒的非常丰厚的礼物。
Loneliness is an abandoned gift from God to us.
这个扔石头的距离表示什么意思呢？
What is the distance to throw the stone? What does that mean?
表示隔离呀，
It means to separate,
表示分开，
to divide,
表示放手，
means to let go.
以及可能保持的联系，对不对？
And also to possibly just keep the relationship.
注意，孤独并不代表跟神没有关系。
Just pay attention, actually loneliness does not mean we have no relationship with God.
这个其实也是我们处理一些比较重大事情的一个很重要的原则。
And this is also a big principle when we handle some big issue.
其实我们需要有一个平衡在我们生命里面。
Actually, we need to have some balance in our
我
life.
们既需要有一个单单与神同在的领受，
And on one hand, we need to have the receiving, to have a God's presence.
我们也需要有一个 supporting system， 就是信心群体的支持。
We also need a support from the spiritual group.
其实你看看耶稣画的这个图画，你很清楚。
So when you look at this picture that Jesus drew, it's very clear.
扔个石头过去，
Jesus threw a stone.
这是一个可联系的距离，对不对？
And that distance is the distance not far we can be
却
connected.
有一个隔离的空间。
God has the space to be separate.
我们既需要与神有一个单独的沟通，
On one hand, we do have a communication with God.
我们也离不开一个属灵群体的彼此相连接。
And on the other hand, we also need to have a connection with our spiritual group.
道成肉身的主耶稣基督尚且如此，
So Jesus Christ who come to this world by flesh, he even did that.
更何况你我呢？
And not even mentioned about you and
所
me.
以有事我们的原则一定要是跟上帝祷告，
So the principle is, if you have any issue, for sure,
也
pray to
要和
God.
教会的弟兄姐妹保持密切的联系。
And have a close relationship, connection with the church.
不要受到文化封闭的影响哦。
So don't be influenced by the culture.
我们喜欢凡事都保密不见光，
And we like everything, just keep it secretly.
其实到头来失去很多蒙恩的机会。
Actually, at the end, we just lost the opportunity to receive God's grace.
好，其次呢是面对孤独寂寞的软弱。
Second is face the weakness of loneliness.
我们道成肉身的主会饿、会渴、会感到孤独寂寞，对不对？
So our Lord, with the incarnation, He will be hungry, He will be thirsty.
圣经的描述很仔细哦。
In the Bible, described very detailed.
描述主耶稣这个时候是忧愁起来，极其难过。
At this time, then Jesus began to be sorrowful and troubled.
你不觉得这是对你我的安慰吗？
Don't you think it's a comfort to us?
主尚且如此，你我大概也不需要去冲大头装属灵吧。
So even God, He experienced this. For us, we do not need to pretend.
我们有软弱，我们会软弱，甚至我们更加是可以靠着主去面对软弱。
We have weakness, and we will be weak, and we can face the weakness.
最怕的一件事情是什么？
And one thing we concern the most
我
is
问你有没有什么事情可以为你祷告啊？
anything I can pray for you.
你最近有什么软弱的地方吗？
Do you have any weakness recently?
没有，我都好，一切都好，一切感谢主都好。
No, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
我们比较害怕的就是把自己软弱的地方向神、向人、向教会彰显出来。
And we're just pretty much afraid to just reveal our weakness.
其实这是一个最可惜的事情。
And it's a pity.
受到我们文化上的影响。
And just influenced by the culture.
耶稣面对软弱的方法也很简单。
So it's the method for Jesus to face the weakness is very simple.
他就是把软弱说出来。
He just say it.
他对门徒说：“我心里甚是忧伤，几乎要死。”
Jesus told his disciples that my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death.
请大家留意我下面这句话。
Just pay attention on what I'm
这
going to
是
say.
多么了不起的伟大示弱。
And how great it is to reveal his
我
weakness.
帮大家听懂这个区别啊。
I hope you can tell the difference.
在我们人类的历史上，我们比较喜欢做什么？
So in a human history, and people like to reveal what?
我们比较喜欢去示威。
We like to reveal how strong we are.
我曾经在法国巴黎住过2、3年。
I used to live in Paris for 2 to 3 years.
几乎每个礼拜六，法国人喜欢上街去示威。
And so almost like every Saturday, the people just go just on the street and just to do
发
something.
现有人说我示弱。
And very few will see people will reveal their weakness.
但是你知道这里面的辩证关系吗？
And do you see what's the difference, the relationship?
强者是有能力示弱的，
A strong person has the ability to reveal his weakness.
而恰恰是一个弱者才会去示威。
But just the weak person, he will just to show his strong part.
其实这里面是一个极大的勇气与智慧。
And it takes a great courage and a wisdom.
你试过示弱没有？
Have you ever revealed your
其
weakness?
实我鼓励在座的做父母的，
Actually, I encourage parents here.
不一定每时每刻都在儿女面前好像自己很威风、很了不起。
It's not necessary every time you just show it in front of your kids how strong you are.
要等孩子到12岁到18岁这个期间，你就逐渐的从示威到示强、到示弱的。
So by the time when your kids, when they get to 12 to 18, just gradually, just reveal that's your weakness.
给你的儿女有一个机会在你面前强大的机会，多好！
So give the opportunity for your children, for them to reveal their strong part.
我记得我们的孩子从12到18岁开始，我们每年就放多一个权利给他。
I remember for my children by age 12 to 18, every year I just give one of their the right.
我记得儿子9年级的时候呢，就做我跟师母的辅导员了。
I remember when my son was 9th grade, he's the counselor for me and my wife.
有的时候我们也有我们的软弱呀。
Because sometimes we have our own weakness.
师母有时候不接我电话，我就不高兴啊。
Sometimes my wife does not pick up the phone, I'm not happy.
我跟师母讲也讲不清楚啊。
And we just cannot talk clearly.
我们开会定了一个家规，儿子当我们2个人的辅导员。
So we, our family, we just set this rule that our son just become our counselor.
我记得第一次辅导我们的时候呢，妈妈还有点玩他笑那样子。
I remember the first time my wife counseled us, and then my wife just still kind of smile and laugh.
儿子就行使权利了。
And my son just execute his right.
Mom, please be serious.
妈，你认真严肃一点好不好？
妈咪挺吓坏了，原来儿子也有权柄在这里。
And my wife just kind of astonished. Oh, my son has authority.
所以，亲爱的弟兄姐妹，你知道吗？
So, brother, sister, do you know?
你栽培儿女的目的，难道不是让他强过你吗？
The purpose for you to just train and just educate your children, don't you want them to be stronger than you?
你活到80岁、90岁，活到100岁的，你儿子还像龟孙似的站在你面前，你觉得有出息吗？
So by the time if you just get to the age 80 and your children still like a little child, is that what you want?
教导儿女，使得走当行的正道。
Teach your children so they walk on the right path.
让他遵循上帝的道，
So let them follow God's truth.
未必是你我的道。
It may not be your way.
父母常常错的，
A lot of times parents are wrong,
上帝不会错。
but God is never wrong.
所以让你跟儿女呢，与上帝之间建立一个共同的标准。
So just establish the same standard for you and your children.
让圣经成为你和儿女共同遵守的权威。
So let the Bible be the authority for you and your children.
好，最后是请求不可能帮助的帮助。
And lastly, request help from the unhelpful.
这一句话也比较拗口，对不对？
And it's kind of awkward.
已经不可能帮助，还去请求这个帮助，怎么不对吧？
So this kind of help is already impossible. Why I still request this kind of help?
这 这是耶稣做的事儿啊。
But that's what Jesus did.
要我们读圣经，要把这里的事给读清楚、读懂才好啊。
So when we read the Bible, we need to understand what that's talking about.
我们想一想，此时此刻的耶稣正在做什么？
Think about what Jesus Christ is doing at the time.
他是人生中最软弱的时刻。
It's the weakest point in Jesus Christ's life in the world.
他邀请3个门徒为他警醒、等候的祷告回来。
So he invited his 3 disciples to be alert and pray.
你有没有想过，主邀请我们为他祷告？
Have you thought about this? God invited us to pray for him.
意大利有一个小孩唱歌，还要安慰耶稣。
In Italy, there's a child that sings a song says she wants to comfort Jesus.
我刚刚听起来的时候，我说这不是异端吗？怎么搞的？搞得这个人还得去安慰耶稣，像不像话？
When I first heard about this song, I thought it's a kind of like a heresy. And how come the human being comfort Jesus?
耶稣那么强，哪里需要我们的安慰呢？
Jesus is so strong. Why he needs our comfort?
但是耶稣在这里很清楚地邀请门徒为他警醒，为他祷告。
But here we see Jesus clearly. He invited his disciples to pray for him.
连主都尚且如此，你为何不能让你的儿女来为你祷告守望呢？
Even Jesus did so. Why can't we ask our children to pray for us?
主耶稣祷告去了，回来看到门徒睡了，
So after Jesus prayed, he came back and saw the disciples, they're all fall asleep.
看了这个邀请落空，
Seems like this kind of invitation is kind of in vain.
请求门徒来帮助他，也好像不可能。
And it seems like to ask the help from the disciples, it's impossible.
但是耶稣仍然做这件事情。
But Jesus still did that.
既然他们睡着，
And he saw that they just fell asleep.
就问他们：你们不能与我警醒片时吗？
And just asked them, can you just be alert for the moment?
其实主也知道他们不行，
And Jesus knew that they just cannot make it.
主也知道他们没有这个能力。
Jesus knew that they do not have the ability.
但是你看看耶稣的智慧在哪里呢？
So look at the wisdom from Jesus.
他马上将一个危机转化为一个教导的契机。
So he transformed the crisis to the opportunity to teach.
他教导门徒说：总要警醒祷告，免得入了迷惑。
So he told the disciples, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation.
有的时候我们教养儿女也是如此啊。
Sometimes when we teach our children, it's the same.
我们比较喜欢把自己心里面想说的、想讲的所有的情绪都发泄出来，我们就完成任务。
And which is more like just release our emotion and then we thought we finished.
但是儿女常常听不进耳朵，
But sometimes the children just cannot hear it.
为什么？
Why?
因为他听教导的时候不到。
Because it's not a time for them to hear the teaching.
做父母最大的智慧在哪里？知道吗？
You know, what is the greatest wisdom for parents to teach?
就是要抓住儿女最能受教的那个时刻，把最重要的话送进他的耳朵。
That is to catch the moment that your children is able to listen and to be taught.
你看看耶稣这个从邀请到教导，这个 moment 抓得多有智慧。
So look at Jesus from invitation to teach, and he just catch the moment.
他十分理解我们心灵固然愿意，肉体却软弱了的现实，对不对？
And he just knew about the reality the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
我们不能够因为肉体软弱就不去警醒祷告啊。
We cannot just not to be alert and pray because we are physically weak.
但是主也不会因为我们的警醒祷告就忽略我们会有肉体的软弱，对不对？
But God will not omit our weakness in the physical, and just because we have to be alert and
这
pray.
难道不是你我每天所经历的软弱吗？
Isn't that a weakness that we experience every day?
问问你自己，是不是一祷告就想睡觉啊？
Ask yourself, when you pray, do you feel sleepy?
一读圣经，马上眼睛就搭不起来，有没有啊？
When you read the Bible, you just fall asleep.
有人笑了，
Some people smile.
看来我讲的是对的，对不对？
Seems like I just say the truth.
不要放弃，
Don't give up.
你软弱睡了起来，再来读呗。
If you have a weakness, it's okay. And when you wake up, just read it again.
你可能有10次软弱，
Maybe you have 10 times you have weakness.
可能有1次不软弱了。
Maybe just one time you're not weak.
我既然读这个圣经读进去了，
And when I read this Bible, I can read it.
这是恩典。
It's a grace.
我们本来读经读不进去，是我们罪人当有的反应，正常。
Originally, we just cannot read this Bible. That's pretty normal for the sinful people like
真的
us.
不要笑，你看你一读经就祷告，一祷告就睡一觉，你这
So Don't laugh at others. Look at you. You just fall asleep when you read the Bible.
我们都比较喜欢取笑他人，对不对？
We like to just make fun and just look down on
哎
others.
呀，我越读越困了，不是怎么办？
Pastor, the more I read the Bible, I just feel so sleepy.
我
What
怎
can
么
I do?
读经好像都读不进去啊！
I just cannot let the words come into my brain.
我就跟你说，那就对了。
And I told you,
按照
that's correct.
当夏娃的遗传，你当读不进经的。
So based on the DNA from Adam and Eve, it's normal.
但是你坚持下去试试。
But if you just persist doing it,
我告诉你，你铁定会经历一次恩典。
let me tell you, for sure you will experience the grace at least
你
once.
继续坚持，你会铁定坚持，你会得到一次以上的恩典。
If you consistently just persist on reading the Bible, you will receive more than once for
你
the
一
grace.
直不放弃，你会坚持，你会得到一次以上、2次以上、N 次以上恩典。你不信，你往前走。
If you do not give up, you will receive more than once, second time, third time for the grace.
我就有一段时间读经，一读经，就睡着。
There's a period of time when I read the Bible, I just fall asleep.
一读经又睡着。
And just again and again.
我有的时候祷告，自己也睡着。
Sometimes when I pray and I feel asleep,
旁边同工推不睡，醒了。
and some coworker just said, "You up? Wake up."
我在干什么？现在几点钟啊？
And I said, "Oh, what time it is?"
都不要觉得介意，这样的软弱你我都有。
This kind of weakness we all experience it,
但是不要放弃。
but never give up.
明天起床继续祷告。
Tomorrow when you wake up and continue to pray.
听讲道也会睡觉。
It's the same. When you listen to the sermon, you may feel sleepy.
你看看周围左右谁在睡？
Look at your neighbor who's sleeping
你
now.
不要取笑他。
Don't laugh at your neighbor.
有一天你也会睡的，
One day you will feel sleepy too.
都是正常。
It's normal.
那就睡吧。
Then go ahead.
如果牧师讲道能够让你安眠睡觉，那也是功德一件，对不对？
If pastor's preaching can make you fall asleep, it may be like maybe I do the one good thing to
我
you.
从来不去责备听讲道睡觉的弟兄姐妹。
I never rebuke brothers or sisters who fell asleep while I was preaching.
至少牧师道能够让你安然入睡啊！
At least you can sleep tightly.
你不感恩吗？
Don't you feel thankful?
我就很感恩。
I do.
说你昨天晚上在家里就不得入睡嘛，睡不
That
着
means
觉。
last night you didn't sleep well.
老婆在那囔说一大堆话，你睡不着觉。
Maybe your wife is keep talking and nagging them
孩
around
子
your
吵你也
ears.
睡不着觉。
And maybe the kids was kind of like making the
哎
noise.
来到教会睡。
Then you come to the church, you can fall asleep.
感谢主啊！
Praise the Lord.
有一天我们会不睡觉，
One day
我们越
we
听
will be
心里
awake.
面越感动。
One day, the more we listen to the preaching, our heart is moved.
这样的恩典不可多得。
And this kind of grace is just precious.
有一天你听到说哇，觉得心里很感动，那是额外的恩典。
So one day, if you listen to the sermon and your heart is moved, that's a great, biggest grace.
是你不配的。
And it's a grace that you're not
耶
worthy
稣
to have
复
it.
活前的第一次祷告，
And the first prayer before Jesus' resurrection
带给这么多的震撼的信息，你不
And
感恩吗？
give us this kind of message that's shocking, and don't you feel thankful?
他第一次祷告，请求门徒来陪他；
So the first prayer, and he asked the disciple to be his companion.
第二次祷告呢？
And the second prayer,
第二次祷告，他请求天父把那个杯撤走。
and the second prayer, and he requests for the cup to be taken away.
耶稣走上十字架，无疑是一个苦杯啊！
So for Jesus Christ to walk on the cross, no doubt, it's a
如
bitter
何
cup.
面对这样的苦杯？
How to face this bitter cup?
它既反映了他跟天父的关系，也为我们树立了榜样。
And just reveal the relationship for him with Heavenly Father, also to set a role model for us.
那前面第一次祷告的时候，他说：“父啊，倘若可行，求你叫这杯离开我，然而不要照我的旨意，只要照你的旨意。”
So his first prayer, he said, "My Father, if it's possible, may this cup be taken from me, yet not as I will, but as you will."
其实你不觉得跟你自己生命很近吗？
Don't you think this is so close to your life?
这个礼拜轮到我来在教会扫地。
For example, if this week it's my turn to sweep the floor,
想想扫那么多级楼梯不容易啊！
think about this. To sweep so many steps, it's not easy.
心里面就犯嘀咕了。
Then I just have something cooking in my heart.
主啊，倘若可行，叫这扫地的这个苦杯离开我吧。
So God, if possible, may this cup to be taken away from me, so I don't have to sweep.
那我要讲的，这是我们人的本性，
What I'm trying to say is our sinful nature.
不要以为奇怪，
Don't think it's very strange.
我们人呐、很奇怪。
Human beings very strange.
这遇到了困难，遇到了障碍呢，
When we have trouble,
你铁定会第一个拿上帝来开算。
for sure, the first moment you will just point it to Jesus.
为什么？
Why?
他是爱的
Because His love.
他那里最有丰厚的恩典，对不对？
Because He has abundant grace.
他反正都不会来去对我怎么样。
No matter what, He would not do anything to me.
所以我们遇到一些事情呢，我们是不管我们是不是讲不讲信用，之前是不是答应过神，我们毫无信用而已。
So no matter what, we just that if we just don't keep any promise to God.
我这不是在埋怨弟兄姐妹，
Brother, sister, I'm not complaining.
我是在说，透过这些事情，神的圣灵的光照我们，让我们看见自己生命的本我、老我和丑陋的我，对不对？
So what I'm trying to say is through this kind of thing, so let the Holy Spirit to shine on us to see our own sinful nature.
耶稣把这个生命很清楚的彰显在我们面前，这是人的本性。
So Jesus just revealed our sinful nature.
遇到事情，倘若可行，父啊，求你让这个杯离开我吧。
So usually we'll just say, if it's possible, may this cup be taken away from me.
我们都是逃，
We just have a tendency, we want to escape.
我们都是躲。
We just hide.
好，到第二次祷告，耶稣开始将这个转化彰显出来。
So the second prayer, He started to transform,
他由
change.
不确定到确定，
From uncertainty to certain.
从软弱到刚强。
From weakness to strong.
那他的生命是怎么转化过来的呢？
How did his life transform?
首先呢，他是坦诚面对老我。
So first, he honestly faced the old self.
什么是老我？
So what is the old self?
老我就是什么东西都有我，
And that is everything I'm there.
什么东西都是由我来决定的。
Everything determined by myself.
包括耶稣也经历了人性的老我，对不对？
Including Jesus, he experienced the old self of human nature.
明明知道走上十字架是父神的心意，对不对？
And honestly, he knows that's God's Heavenly Father's will for him to walk on the
为
cross.
何还要问倘若可行的话呢？
So, and then why he want to ask if it's possible?
他明知此杯乃是父神赐下，为何还要叫父神叫此杯离开呢？
Obviously, he knew it's from Heavenly Father for to give him the cup, and why he asked him to remove it.
要明明知道这个礼拜轮到我在扫教会的厕所，来扫教会的楼梯。
So obviously, I know now it's my turn to sweep the floor in the church.
为什么自己就那么大胆，随便把它推脱这个使命呢
How can I just boldly just avoid it?
？Why？
为什么？
为什么叫父神叫此杯离开？想一想。
So think about this. Why Jesus asked Heavenly Father to remove his cup?
其实这里边作怪的就是我们的老我嘛。
Actually, what's working on it? It's our old self.
然后你说好，牧师今天这么讲我，
And you will say, okay, Pastor, now today you talk about me.
以后你方中一再排轮值表示你不要排我啊。
In the future, Flora, if you arrange a roster, do not put me there.
难道这不也是老我吗？
Isn't that old nature?
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
Dear brothers and sisters,
教会是个家，
church is a home.
教会是个生命，
Church is life.
是主耶稣基督的身体，
Church is the body of the Christ.
是互动的 ，interact 互相动的。
We have interaction with each other.
这个互相动就是彼此服侍。
This is interaction, that is, we serve one another.
如果你来到教会，你就是不动，
If you come to the church, you just don't move.
要整个生命体都在动，就是你不动。
Your whole life is moving, but the whole life is moving, but you just do not move.
那你猜你是谁啊？
Guess who you
你
are?
是身体中的哪一个部分呢？
Which part of your body?
你是心脏吗？不对，心脏在跳啊。
Is that a heart? But no, heart is
是
beating.
肝在起作用啊。
Is that liver? Well, liver is
你
working
说
on
你
it.
是肾也在排
It is
水
a
啊。
kidney. The kidney is also detoxing.
是脾脏也在做这个排毒的功能啊。
And it's the other organ is the same thing.
那你是谁啊？
Who are you?
如果整个身体都听头的指挥，而你是唯独不动的那一个呢？
If the whole body listen to the chief commander of the head, but yourself, you just don't move.
还剩最后一个部分，你可以做那个角色，
You have a role to play, the last role.
那就是肿瘤，
That is a tumor,
那就是癌症。
cancer.
他不照着耶稣基督的心意行事，他走破坏肢体生命的功能。
And the tumor just live the life to destroy and gone.
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
Dear brothers and sisters,
作怪的是老我，
and what's that? It's doing the wrong thing.
如
That's
果
the
我们
old
将
self.
老我坚持到底的话呢，那一定会转化成良性肿瘤到恶性肿瘤，一定。
If we persist to do this the wrong thing, and for sure it will
所以
transform
今天在这
and from
里
the
鼓励每一位弟兄姐妹，
So today I encourage brothers and sisters,
不要单单做一个礼拜天的信徒，
please do not just be a Sunday believer.
要跟教会的肢体有生命的关系，
Please have a life relationship with the church
要完成教会的头，就是耶稣基督的使命。
to fulfill the mission of the head of the church, which is Christ.
我的教会可能发个单张啊，
Maybe we can just pass the Sunday bulletin.
我参加个祷告会啊，
Maybe I can join the prayer meeting.
或者是跟牧师来商量一下你的恩赐在哪里，如何服侍教会啊。
Or maybe you can come and talk to pastor about to see where your gift is.
你总有一天要面对那位真神呐、
Brother, sister, one day you will face the true God.
你逃不掉的。
You cannot escape.
你说你无所谓，反正每个礼拜就来一次教会就好了。
And you say, I don't care, I just come once on Sunday only.
你想一想，主有一天回来，你怎么面对他嘛？
Then just think about it. One day Jesus will come back. How do you face him?
你说我不承认，
And I said, I don't want to admit.
你说我不面对，
I won't face.
你说我不处理，
I won't handle that.
没用的。
No use.
主是无所不在的神，
And God is omnipresent God.
老我不
Everywhere.
会自己跑掉，
Our old nature will not escape.
而且你靠自己吧，还对付不了这老我，
And if you just count on yourself, it's not countable.
你只能全人的靠主才行。
You can totally count on God.
好，其次是转眼仰望天父。
And the second is look up to Heavenly Father.
耶稣从一开始就抓住这个原则，
In the very beginning, Jesus just hold on to this principle.
他马上将眼光转向天父。
He quickly moved his view to Heavenly Father.
虽然作为完全的人，耶稣基督和我们一样，他也要面对老我的缠绕。
Even though as a complete person, Jesus has to also face the old nature.
但是我看他在这里的转身十分优雅。
But I see his the transformation is just pretty elegant.
他怎么转身？
How did he do?
他说他两个字一正一反。假如可能，你把杯撤走。
Also, on one hand, he said, if it's possible, please take away the cup.
然后以后他说，假如不可能，求你留下。
But if it's not possible, just leave it there.
假如必要我喝的话，我喝吧。
If you want me to drink it, then just according to your
这
will.
都是老我这个反应。
It's the old nature.
但是呢，
But,
他最后那一句话很优雅。
and his last word, the last sentence is very
然
elegant.
而不要照我的意思，
However, do not go by my will,
只要照你的意思。
just according to your will.
这是我们最难的部分，对不对？
So that's the hardest part, right?
我看着卖一所房子能够得到很多钱，
So when we see if we sell a house, we can make a lot of money.
我看着我租一个房子可以得到很多利益。
And if we see we just lease the house, we can receive
我
the
只要
benefit.
略的讲一句假话，
As long as I just say something, just make a lie.
我只需要轻轻的隐瞒一下房子的一些问题。
As long as I just hide something about a house.
要50万就到手了，
And then the 500,000 I can easily just put into my
哪怕
pocket.
2万到手也很好啊。
Even though 20,000, that's not
10万
bad.
不行，2000也好。
If it's not possible, 2,000 is not bad.
那这个是我们生命当中最难做决定的时候，对不对？
So that's so hard to make a decision
我
then.
们祷告求神赐给我们生意兴隆。
And we pray to the God just for our business to be
你
prosperous.
会不会加上一句：然而不要照我的意思，只要照你的意思？
Will you tell God that, but just according to your will, not
如
my
果
will?
神的心意让你不要生意兴隆，让你生意一般很困难，你愿意这么祷告吗？
If God did not give you the prosperity in your business, just give you like an ordinary,
你可能会
whatever
说：
your
不是，
prayer.
神怎么会这样子呢？神一定会让我生意兴隆的嘛。
And you may say, Pastor, God for sure will give my business the prosperity.
我可告诉你，不一定的。
Let me tell you, not really.
信神未必你的生意就兴隆。
It's not for sure for the believers, for the business that have been prosperous.
我们不要受到成功神学的污染啊！
So don't be polluted by the successful theology.
这世上和世间的一切都会成为过去，
Everything in this world, all the material things will be perished.
唯有主的道是永远长存的。
Only God's words last to eternity.
亲爱的弟兄姐妹，
Dear brothers and sisters,
你如果希望你的属灵生命今年2018年能够更上一层楼，
if you have the wish for your spiritual life to get to another next level,
那就从这一句祷告开始。
please start it from this prayer.
任何祷告，
any prayer.
我不单单求自己的益处，
I just not just purely just pray for my own benefit.
我甚至不求自己的益处，我只求天父的旨意。
And even I just do not pray for my own benefit. I only pray for the benefit of the Heavenly Father.
你愿意吗？
Are you willing to?
这是你属灵生命必要的成长。
And that's for your spiritual life to grow.
我记得我们一家从95年从挪威离开去香港，
I remember 1995 when our family moved from Norway to Hong Kong.
那个时候祷告是什么？你知道吗？
Do you know what was my prayer at the time?
因为师母的亲戚跑来跟我们讲，你们在挪威是个保险箱啊，到了香港就会饿死的。
And my wife's relatives said, do you know in Norway it's a safety net, and you go to Hong Kong, you will be starved to death.
他的三叔跟他的姑姑就跑来家里警告我，你要走你自己走，把我们的女儿和2个孩子留在挪威吧。
So her uncle and auntie just came to us and they said, if you want to leave, you just go ahead and leave, and you just go by yourself.
结果呢？
And then
结果他们谈了半天，我们最后的祷告是这样子：
at the end, this is our prayer.
天父啊，
Heavenly Father,
假如我们一家人去到香港，饿死回天家，
if we went to Hong Kong and our whole family starved to death and went back to the heavenly kingdom,
没有怨言，
we have no complaint.
甘心乐意的回天家，
We have the joyful heart to return to the
我
heaven.
们不留恋这个世界。
And we just do not just think about this world.
我们之所以还活在这个世上，因为有你赐给我们使命。
And the reason we can live in this world because you give us this mission.
耶稣的祷告就是这样子。
And that's Jesus' prayer.
他的祷告加上了对老我的否定词。
So it's prayer. He also just kind of denied about
他
himself.
说：“我父啊，这杯若不能离开我，必要我喝。愿你的旨意成全。”
And he said, my Heavenly Father, if this cup cannot leave me, and for sure want me to drink it according to your will.
大家可以想一想啊，
Think about this.
耶稣当年也是面对着死亡，面对着酷刑。请问我们谁能不眨眼？
So facing the death and the cruel punishment,
我们
who
谁
cannot just blink the
谁
eyes?
不犹豫，谁不害怕呀？
Who would not hesitate and not have fear?
最近中国大陆国内逼迫也开始加强了。
So recently, this kind of those compelling in China is getting worse.
我好几位好的朋友，牧师们都已经进了监狱，或者知道自己要被捕入狱了。
Several of my pastor friends, they knew they would be captured into the jail, or they are already in the jail.
有一些入监狱之前的公开声明，我到了监狱里面，如果受不了那个折磨，我说了一些违心的话，大家不要当真。
So before they went into the jail, and they just issued this letter to say, if I could not stand this cruel punishment and say something against my will, please do not believe. That's what I
曹山强牧师曾经在我们教会讲过道，大家应该记得他。
You may remember Pastor Cao Shanqiang. He used to preach in our church.
他救了7人一条命，他救了7人一条命。
He saved Christians' loved ones.
我们在 Plano 的时候呢，
When we used to live in Plano,
我们的锅忘了关了，
we forgot to turn off the heat or the stove,
都充满了浓烟，他还在2楼睡觉。
and the whole house is all full of smoke. And my son was sleeping
他
upstairs.
在楼下摁门铃，敲门，把这个人叫起来。
So he just rang the doorbell and just woke my son
我
up.
记得曹牧师那个时候说：“我救了你一命啊，要到云南来给我短宣哦。”
I remember at the time that Pastor Cao Shanqiang, he said, I saved your life. Next time come to Yunnan, have a shorter mission.
他现在被判了7年半，在中国坐牢。
He's sentenced to 7.5 years into the jail in
我
China.
们西安有一个责任为曹牧师祷告，
So Christian, just pray for this pastor.
而不是单单你，我们每一个人要为曹牧师祷告。
That all of us, we should pray for this pastor.
好，我们看第3点，
That's the third point.
第3次仍是一样的。
The third time is still the same.
耶稣第2次祷告回来，
So Jesus came back from the second prayer.
现在门徒已经睡着了。
He saw the disciples all fell asleep.
这一次主没有再多说什么，
This time God did not say much.
为什么？
Why?
因为这不是说话的时候了。
Because it's not the time to talk.
这一次说什么没有用了。
Because this time, no matter what he say, it doesn't work.
什么时候是劝勉、教导的时候？我们要像刚才说的，要向耶稣学智慧。
We need to learn the wisdom from Jesus about when is the right time to teach.
我读这段经文，我就想按照我的想法，我拿个棍子把他们打醒了。
So to me, if based on my own thinking, this is the time Jesus should spank them.
起来了，起来了，我都要死了，你们还好意思睡觉啊？
So just get up, and I'm almost dying, and you just fall asleep.
啊，你忍心睡着吗你？
So how can you just fall asleep like this?
快，12个门徒都给我跪起来，为我祷告。
All kneel down, pray.
耶稣当然有这个权利，
Of course, Jesus has this sovereignty.
当然他有足够的理由，
He has enough reason.
但是耶稣有的更加是神的怜悯、慈爱和智慧。
But what Jesus has, that what's even more than that, is His mercy and love.
他知道什么时候是最好的教导的时刻，
He knew that when is the best time to teach.
他这个时候选择不说，
He chose not to say a word.
他留下深刻的印象，让当时的门徒和今天的你我去反复的思考。
So Jesus just leave us the deepest impression for us to think.
请问你想到什么？
So what do you think about?
好，其次是持定不变的祷告，
And second is to pray consistently.
第二次祷告和第三次祷告没有任何的变化，
And there's no change for his second and third prayer.
仍然是照着天父的旨意成全。
And he just prayed that according to Heavenly Father's will.
这里边所沉淀下来的宝贵教训就是，无论如何总要求天父的旨意成全，无论成败，无论得失，无论生死，总要求父神的旨意。
The precious teaching is no matter what, just pray for Heavenly Father's will to be fulfilled. No matter it's success or failure, it's life or death. Just always pray for God's will.
保罗说我们或活或死，总是主的人。
So Paul said we're either live or die, and we're God's people.
这个世界不能将我们怎么样？
And this world just cannot do anything to us.
拿走我们的财富吗？
And if you take away my wealth,
我们就在贫穷中站立住了。
then you praise the Lord in poverty.
如果是强权将我们丢进监狱呢，
If it does high authority put us into the jail,
那就去监狱里面布道传福音嘛。
then we just share gospel in the jail.
如果取走我们的生命呢，
So if they take away my life,
睡上一觉，醒来就在乐园与主相聚了。
and when I fall asleep, then I wake up and I just rejoice with God
这个
in
没
this
什么
heaven.
害怕的理由啊，弟兄姐妹。
So brother, sister, there's no reason to be
最
afraid.
后，耶稣说：“起来，我们走吧。”
Lastly, Jesus said, "Rise, let's get
这
up."
是耶稣为他舍命十架、死里复活，在克西马尼园预备的最后一句祷告词。
And this is the last prayer for Jesus, that He died on the cross and His resurrection
吹响
the evening.
复活的号角。
And also just give the sound of the horn for the resurrection.
当时的有权柄的人，希律王、比拉多、大祭司，以及带着兵丁来捉拿耶稣的犹大，想到的是耶稣的死期已经。
So at the time, the Herod the Great and the Pilate, the great priest and also the soldier, when they captured Jesus, they thought about that it's a time for Jesus to die.
你死到临头了，还那么恨？
And you almost just reached your death sentence, but you still do like this.
他哪里晓得，主却是去迎接一个复活。
So how do they realize actually He went to welcome His resurrection,
而且凡是跟随他去迎接的，都要复活。
and whoever follow Him will be resurrected.
请问这其中有你吗？
Are you among one of them?
好，弟兄姐妹，
Dear brothers and sisters,
今天是复活节的主日，
today is Easter Sunday.
我们讲了复活前的3个祷告。
We just talked about the 3 prayers before resurrection.
请问你听明白吗？
Do you understand?
请问这也是你的祷告吗？
Is this your prayer?
复活是我们信仰的核心，
Resurrection is the core of our
也
belief.
是我们之所以有盼望的基石。
It's also the cornerstone of our hope.
我们一起祷告。
Let's pray.
天父，感谢你，
Heavenly Father, we thank you.
感谢主你的大爱。
Thank you for your deepest love.
我们今天在复活节的主日，时间稍讲长一点。
Today is the Easter Sunday. Our sermon is a little long today.
主啊，求你在我们当中做主做王，
God, just please be our King, our Lord.
你赐福加力。
Please bless us.
感谢祷告奉耶稣基督的名。
We pray in Jesus Christ's name.
Amen.
Amen.